Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video we're taking a look at an incredibly cool Pokemon for the Master League Premier Cup, and that is a fully maxed out perfect IV Shadow Garchomp. These battles were submitted to the channel by a member of the community, Sniped Bra, so many thanks for the battle submission. Now it goes without saying, having a perfect IV Shadow Pokemon is rare enough, but having one that is playable like Shadow Garchomp is incredibly cool. So today, we'll get to see this trainer paired up with a Golisopod and a Gholdengo and go on a 9-1 run. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches. Game 1 off to a really tough start, leading Golisopod into Shadow Magnezone. One Shadow Claw and a save switch to Gholdengo. Gholdengo will be answered with a Shadow Dragonite, and that is by no means a good response to Gholdengo. Gholdengo's Shadow Ball will inflict pretty significant damage. The opponent is forced to give up a shield. Anything the Dragonite throws here is going to be single resisted, so we will see a no shield on the Dragon Claw. This Dragonite is actually on Dragon Tail, which is a bit of a surprise, as Dragon Tail generally going to perform worse than Dragon Breath, just due to the fact that it has very similar stats, but it's a 3-turn move instead of being a 1-turn move. Dragonite going to be firing off another charge attack here. Dragon Claw is going to get Golisopod quite low. In comes the Garchomp and gets a snipe down. Opponent now going to send out a Waterfall Gyarados, but look at the Shadow Dragon Tails go. Garchomp not even going to build up, just going straight for the Sand Tomb, trying to apply that debuff as early as possible. Garchomp going to be shielding up here, and it looks like with the debuff, Garchomp is winning the damage war here, as they're going to get fully farmed down, and this Garchomp exits with so much energy, and now this poor Magnezone is going to get absolutely flattened. Sand Tomb is going to be shielded. Garchomp very close to Sand Tomb number 2. It's double super effective damage, and the opponent has been debuffed, which means this game is absolutely over. This team saw a terrible lead, but is able to fight back and secure the victory. Moving into game number 2, Golisopod much better lead leading into Skeledirge. Skeledirge is going to be dramatically outpaced by Golisopod in this matchup. Perfect charge attack timing here, throwing 7 Shadow Claws and the Aqua Jet. We will see a shield from the Skeledirge. Skeledirge farms up quite a bit of energy, and we will see the shield from Golisopod. It is actually a disarming voice. There's a save switch into Dragonite, and that will be answered with Gholdengo. Most Skeledirge are on Torch Song plus Shadow Ball, but I guess in a meta where there are quite a few dragons, having Disarming Voice could have merit. The opponent's superpowered right off the bat, so they are debuffed. We're going to see an undercharge. It's still going to KO. Back in comes Skeledirge, but Skeledirge paying a heavy price, taking massive damage from Astonish. Disarming Voice will not KO. 1 HP on the Gholdengo, making it to a last-second Shadow Ball, knocking out the Skeledirge, but in the back is Florges, and this is not what you're hoping to see when your final Pokemon is Shadow Garchomp. Garchomp is going to hit the field. Tough call to make here. Will they bait? He shields, and he gets it right. That's a very important shield, but now this will allow Garchomp to apply a Sand Tomb debuff. With no switches left available, the opponent's going to be debuffed for the remainder of the game. Garchomp staying in this matchup, forcing the opponent to go for another Moonblast, and since the opponent is debuffed, now Golisopod, with all of its stored energy, is going to get to fire off back-to-back Aqua Jets, and that's going to be game over. So things were a little bit scary there, but the opponent actually shielding the first Sand Tomb just really put them in a difficult spot. Hopping into game number 3, Golisopod into Gyarados. Now this is not a great matchup for Golisopod, as Golisopod of course is going to be walled. Golisopod going to stay in this matchup to start with, however, and Gyarados is actually going to strike first. Gyarados is going to go for the crunch. Will we see a debuff? No, we do not. And Golisopod will stay in here and fire off Aqua Jet. You can run Aerial Ace, but Aerial Ace actually only does 2 more damage than Aqua Jet, so realistically, Aerial Ace does not accomplish a lot for you. In comes the Shadow Garchomp. Garchomp gonna try for a Dragon Tail farm down and gets it, but pays a heavy price, losing almost its entire health bar. In comes Rhyperior. Rhyperior immediately met with the Earth Power. That's gonna connect, and that is massive damage. The opponent losing almost their whole Rhyperior in one charge move. In comes Golisopod. In the back is Magnezone. It would be really nice to have the Garchomp right now, but still with an Aqua Jet and a Gholdengo, I think this game is probably still winnable. Goldengo continues to farm. We are going to see an O shield. A wild charge would not be enough to knock out. It is going to be the wild charge. Goldengo hangs on, and the opponent throws on alignment. So now they take a -2 defense, Astonish, and that's going to allow them to get fully farmed down. In comes Rhyperior. It's a simultaneous knockout, but Sniped still has a Pokemon alive in the back, so the game will go down as a win. Golisopod into Goldengo. We see a save switch into Florges. And Florges, oh my goodness, they are not going to have a good day once Goldengo hits the field. Aqua Jet is going to connect. The opponent just going straight for the Trailblaze. So not even bothering to build up. Golisopod going to switch out. In comes Goldengo. And with this chip damage, Goldengo may be able to fully Astonish down. It would leave pretty low, but it's going to exit with a lot of energy. And that energy is very threatening to literally everything in the meta. Florges just going to settle for a Trailblaze, realizing they were not going to get the Moonblast. Trailblaze connects. There's a switch out and an attempted snipe by Golisopod, but they can't do enough damage. Goldengo makes the Shadow Ball, forcing the shield. Unfortunately, can't quite get Shadow Ball number 2, but Shadow Garchomp is about to show Golisopod the meaning of a stat product difference right here. As Golisopod, it's going to be able to fire off several charge attacks, but Shadow Garchomp is just melting it neutrally. They go for the Aqua Jet. Garchomp completely unfazed. We're now going to see banking of all the energy and a switch back into Golisopod. And this game is just completely over. Opponent going to send out Goldengo. Goldengo going to get outpaced here. Aqua Jet will inflict nice damage, and there's so much energy available on the Shadow Garchomp. Opponent trying for a farm down, but it's not to be. Golisopod able to make it to another Aqua Jet. That's going to force a shield, but Garchomp has energy. Garchomp gets to fire off this Sand Tomb. Sand Tomb is going to be able to knock out Goldengo. All that's left is the Golisopod. Oh, I stand corrected. There's still 1 HP of Florges, but that's getting Dragon Tail down as well. We move to the next match. Golisopod into Garchomp. Not a great lead for Golisopod. This is where the difference in combat power is so evident, because Garchomp has almost 1,000 more combat power than the Golisopod. Golisopod does have a pacing advantage, so able to land an Aqua Jet. The opponent farms up, and they actually end up throwing on alignment, giving a free Shadow Claw. We are going to see a shield. It is the Outrage, so that proves to be a very helpful shield. Golisopod farming up a ton. Now that the Outrage has correctly been shielded, this matchup can tilt towards Golisopod's favor. Golisopod gets the farm down, but exits so low on energy. Out comes Florges. It would be amazing if Florges shielded one of these Aqua Jets. Obviously, they don't have to, but getting the shield back would be really nice, because obviously Florges' energy is not going to go very far into Goldengo. And they do shield. That is best case scenario for Sniped here, as Sniped now gets to send in Goldengo. In the back, oh my goodness, the opponent, yeah, they're just out of here. They just completely forgot a Goldengo counter in the back, and they are going to resign the match. It looks like that is the 5-0 set, and we now move into set number 2. Golisopod into Metagross, the dream lead. Opponent going to save switch into their own Golisopod, and this is great situational understanding by our battler. They should always throw the X's or instantly, because the opponent, due to switch taking a turn, will always get outpaced and therefore not get a full sneak. Now, he's just going to send in this Shadow Garchomp. Garchomp, very comfortable to be hit with back-to-back moves here and can just go for a farm down. We actually do see a shield, so it looks like Sniped is prioritizing health on the Garchomp, potentially expecting the opponent to bring back in the Metagross, and they do. I love full send of the Earth Power here. Earth Power will inflict massive damage if it lands, and it does! Oh my goodness! But in the back, what is this? There's an Arboliva! Garchomp gonna fire off the Sand Tube, but Arboliva is a problem. In comes Golisopod, and I believe this thing does run Trailblaze, and they do. Trailblaze is gonna hit for super effective damage. Arboliva still retaining the 2 shields. Going to fire off the wrong move here, but Arboliva is probably going to be double shielding anyway. Arboliva going to fire off another Trailblaze. We are going to see the shield. They are now double boosted though, which is quite scary. I don't know what Arboliva has as a secondary coverage move, but I know they do have Magical Leaf and Trailblaze. That is going to be a full farm down. This is now double boosted. In comes the Garchomp. Garchomp gets farmed down. In comes Goldengo. They are +2. What do they have? No, it's an Earth Power. Huge damage. And Arboliva just does too much damage to Goldengo. 1 bullet punch KOs Goldengo, and unfortunately that game will end in a loss. A chance at redemption in the next match here, leading into another Metagross. I really like the decision to bank an Aqua Jet and then bring in Goldengo, because Goldengo just does so well into Dragonite. Dragonite is going to fire off Dragon Claw. Goldengo completely unfazed, going to continue to overfarm and also to no shield. That Dragon Claw, Goldengo not even in the red health just yet, now going to look to fire off a Shadow Ball. So the opponent running a line that is so ABA weak to Goldengo. Goldengo very well could choose to just let this go and just take farm on the Garchomp, but considering the opponent switched in such a hard counter to the Golisopod, they very well could have an even harder counter in the back, so I don't mind keeping switch here either. Because, of course, Metagross's energy completely walled off by the Golisopod, and they're going to take some pretty solid damage from those Astonishes. In comes Golisopod. Golisopod more than happy to take a Meteor Mash as it's going to be resisted by the water typing. Meteor Mash is going to connect, and there it is. It's going to be the Gyarados hitting the field. So not a great spot to be in as the Golisopod, but getting some chip damage here will genuinely be valuable, because hopefully the goal is then you can bring in Garchomp, Dragon Tail all the way down, and then you would be able to exit with a bunch of ground type charge attacks for that Metagross. We see a shield. It is going to be the Aqua Tail from the Gyarados. Gyarados is going to get fully farmed down, and now Garchomp will get to apply permanent debuffs for the remainder of this game. Sand Tomb is going to connect, and that's just too much damage. The opponent, they knew they had to no shield the first because future ones would do more, but even the first one from a Shadow Garchomp just does too much damage. Florges into Golisopod. If you shield a Trailblaze in this matchup as the Golisopod, it can get out of hand very, very quickly. If you're able to get your shield calls right, this matchup does get quite a bit closer. We are going to see the no shield from Golisopod and the Trailblaze from the Florges. That's a very important no shield. Had he shielded that first one and it was a Trailblaze bait, then things could have got very bad very quickly. Now we are going to see a shield. If you shield the second move and it's a Trailblaze, that's a lot more fine, but it actually ends up being a Moonblast. So Golisopod is now in prime position to actually win this matchup by virtue of getting those shield calls right. Aqua Jet picks up the knockout, and Golisopod wins that matchup pretty convincingly. In comes an opposing Golisopod, and this is very okay. You obviously want to keep it away from Goldengo, so getting some damage here and then getting to put it on Garchomp will work out very nicely. Oh my goodness, was that a CMP tie? Say it ain't so. It is a CMP tie. The opponent overfarming too much, playing to a CMP tie that they do not win. And now, an interesting play. He's sending in Goldengo just to absorb the energy, trying to keep Garchomp full health, expecting Garchomp will have play in the back, and it will as Ursaluna hits the field. Honestly, Garchomp can probably just go straight Sand Tomb in this matchup because these Dragon Tails are doing so much damage. Trailblaze from the Ursaluna, they're really trying to ramp up their damage, but Garchomp will be able to debuff their defense and ramp up these Dragon Tails. And another Sand Tomb is reached, and that is going to seal the opponent's fate in this one, as this Sand Tomb plus one more Dragon Tail. Oh, it doesn't quite pick up the KO, but they survive on very low HP, and they're going to resign the match, realizing they don't have the two moves needed. Moving into the next game, ooh, tough lead leading into a Goodra with Golisopod. This is a matchup where having X-Scissor is nice, but even with X-Scissor, it's not a particularly comfortable matchup. Goodra, again, just has a huge stat product difference. Goodra has overfarmed quite a bit, and now they do get to fire off the Thunder Punch, and we will see the shield from Golisopod. The awkward thing about this matchup is I just wouldn't expect Goodra to shield back because they don't have to. Goodra can very comfortably survive this and make another move. Oh, we're actually going to see a beautiful catch onto the Garchomp. That is a triple resisted Thunder Punch catch and snuck through the Dragon Tail as well. That is a devastating catch. How is a Metagross their best response to a Shadow Garchomp? Oh my goodness, this poor opponent. They're going to get baited with the Sand Tomb. Now they're debuffed as well, firing off the Meteor Mash, and the final shield comes up. So Garchomp really trying to get as much value as possible out of this mid game, and now full send in the Earth Power. A Sand Tomb I don't think would quite knock out here. An Earth Power definitely will. There's the switch into Golisopod, and the opponent is going to fire off energy. Meteor Mash picks up the KO, but they have now wasted quite a bit of energy. So either one of these remaining two Pokemon should do pretty well now. In the back is going to be Golisopod, but in the Zero Shield, this favors Goldengo. Gholdengo gets to make the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball will inflict big damage onto the Golisopod. Golisopod will get to fire off a last-second Aqua Jet. Aqua Jet is going to connect. There's the switch into the Garchomp. And now Garchomp just needs the Sand Tomb, and it's going to get there. The perfect IV Shadow popping off in these games, knocking out Metagross and taking the win. Hopping into the final match, Golisopod into Snorlax. Oh, this is a terrible lead. Oh my goodness. Snorlax used to be a staple in this format, but the Body Slam nerf really drove it into obscurity. But this team, unfortunately, is very, very weak to Snorlax. Both the Golisopod and the Gholdengo are going to have a very tough time here. So Golisopod just going to stay in and try and play it out. But with the Shadow Claws being double resisted, this is such a tough matchup. We are going to see, oh my goodness, the Skull Bash from the opponent. They were farming for ages, and it looks like that shield call ended up being a really, really smart one, because the Skull Bash absolutely would have knocked out. Even with the +1 defense, it looks like 4 Aqua Jets will be enough to secure the KO. We do see a shield from the Snorlax. And now a tough call. Do you let this go, try and Astonish down, or do you shield? We see a shield. It's a second Skull Bash. So now Golisopod will be able to win the 2s. The opponent, it looks like they're running, I guess, Superpower Skull Bash, but that moveset is just so slow. Out comes Florges, and switch advantage, very, very nice here, considering that this will get a line to Gholdengo. Aqua Jet will connect. Let's hope the opponent does decide to shield here. If they no shield, things could get a little bit uncomfortable, and they do end up no shielding, but they fire off a move. They're going to go for a Trailblaze, so they're not going to exit with a lot of energy, which is nice. And now Gholdengo gets to hit the field. In comes a Waterfall Gyarados, and I believe here as the Garchomp, you're just going to go straight for the Sand Tomb. Exactly, because you just want to apply a debuff to the opponent. Sand Tomb, they shielded. No, that's only 5. That was only 5 Dragon Tails. They shield what could only be a double resistant Sand Tomb. And now they're just getting astonished down by Gholdengo. The opponent resigns right afterwards. They realize they have made a catastrophic error. And our battler gets to claim their 4-1 set. All in all, I do think Garchomp is a very cool pick for the Master League Premier Cup. I know most people are not going to have the Shadow Hundo like Sniped Broad does, but that's part of why I do like showcasing these Pokemon. Like a Shadow Hundo Garchomp, an incredibly cool find, and such a rare find as well. I definitely wish that I had one, because this thing was putting in some serious work. Those Shadow Dragon Tails, especially after you apply a Sand Tomb debuff, were just absolutely outrageous. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoy watching content like this, please do consider leaving a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our channel members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is sincerely appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.